As adults, there are a lot of things that we can do now that we couldn't do as kids, like reaching items on the top shelf, no bedtime, and buying alcohol. However, there are a lot of things that suck, like paying taxes and dealing with Facebook drama. As a kid, we couldn't wait to grow up, and now as an adult, we long for those days where there was little to no responsibility. In this video, we will take a trip down memory lane and remember some of the awesome things we experienced while growing up. As a kid, it was exciting to get up early on Saturday morning, grab your favorite bowl of cereal, and plop down on the floor in front of the television to catch your favorite cartoon. Those cartoons were amazing, and if you missed them, then you had to wait a whole week before you could catch them again. This, of course, was long before Netflix and even video stores became so common. Today, it's difficult for kids to imagine a life without reality shows, but it certainly happened. The closest we could get to that was a game show or the Jerry Lewis telethon. The world was different, and we didn't care to know about all the crazy people out there. Snow days at one time were exciting. Back in the day, we didn't receive texts or emails saying that school was canceled. We promptly got out of bed and then turned on the television. Then we had to pay attention to the scrolling list of closed schools and hope that we were one of them. And Lord help us if there was a commercial, because that meant we had to wait even longer to find out if our school was closed. If you were lucky enough to be out of school, then it was time to go play out in the snow. There certainly wasn't any online lessons or homework to do. Remember when friends would come over and just hang out? We definitely weren't texting or playing games on our phones. Well, not unless you decided to start prank calling people from your home phone. Speaking of phones, there was a time when you would always answer the phone with a hello and you had no idea who was on the other end. We didn't have caller ID and it was actually a joy to answer it. Today, most of us don't even bother answering a call from a number we don't know. If you were really lucky, then maybe you had your own personal phone in your room. Most of the time, we thought those kids that had those were rich. If you had to use the household phone, then you may have had to wait for others to finish using it. There was also a possibility of other people in the house listening in on your conversation using another phone inside the home. Walking around the house while you were on the phone really depended on how long your phone cord was. Having one long enough to take to another room was highly desired. Also, we didn't have a screen to scroll through while we were on the phone, so most of us would swing the receiver cord around and play jump rope. Another thing we used to do is wrap the cord around our fingers. As a kid, you really had no idea what a bill was, but you certainly understood what responsibilities were. Things like emptying the trash, doing the dishes, and mowing the yard were all common chores to have. We also understood the value of $1, and we certainly didn't want to spend any of our own money. If we needed a ride home from somewhere, we would then call our parents' collect from a payphone and say, "Come pick me up," as the name. How about the feeling you would get when you walked into your class and saw a substitute teacher? You instantly knew that this was going to be a fun day. Same thing goes for seeing a media cart that rolled into the classroom, no matter if it was a television or slide projector. School back then was different. We carried big, heavy books, and we didn't have handheld technology to teach us everything. But it was still fun in a weird and different way from kids today. Sure, we couldn't text each other in class, but we did pass notes. We just had to do this secretly and hope that we didn't get caught. If the teacher saw it, then that note was definitely getting read out loud in front of the whole class. Family vacations were a big deal. These were planned out well in advance, and summer sports didn't take priority over them. We went on vacations that were fun, and we didn't worry about making it Instagram perfect. They were just experiences, memories, and maybe a few photos. One of the greatest things that you had as a kid was Mom. When you were sick, she would take care of you. Maybe she made homemade chicken noodle soup, or perhaps she let you have 7-Up and ice cream. But you got plenty of rest while you were watching The Price is Right, and don't forget that aspirin. Kids played outside a lot, and after your Saturday morning cartoons, you would go outside and possibly not return until the porch lights came on. We made ramps and jumped them with our bikes, thinking that we were Evel Knievel. We also played on playgrounds that had steel equipment and hard grounds. Occasionally we would break an arm or a leg. Remember when everyone would sign other people's casts? And when you got your cast off, your arm or leg looked small and sort of pale, but worse than that was the smell. You'd been sweating in that thing for months. Getting money is something that we all enjoyed. No, not gift cards, but actual physical money. Remember paper bills falling out as you opened your birthday or Christmas cards? That made getting physical mail in the mailbox exciting. If you did get $20, then you felt rich. Even $10 made you feel like that. After you got your money, you would then go and make a list of everything that you wanted. Today, that's just a coffee, bagel, and maybe a pack of gum. When we were kids, we wore sunglasses because we wanted to look cool, not because we realized that UV rays were bad for our eyes. Heck, we never even realized the importance of sunblock either. It was often a competition to see who could get the darkest tan or the worst sunburn. It even went further when we started peeling. Who could peel off the biggest flake? Oh look, that one looks like Texas. If you had a favorite television show, then you had to make sure that you were home to watch it. It's hard to believe that this was a thing long before VCRs and DVRs. If you missed it, then too bad, you should have been home to watch it. But don't worry, everyone will be talking about it tomorrow and they will let you know what you missed. How about that feeling you would get when the teacher handed back your papers in class? There was no hiding the grade from the other students. They could all see the red score along with the happy face or sad face. After school, you might have been at home all alone, which sometimes led to accidents. You know, spilling something on the carpet or breaking something. Then it made you dread when one or both of your parents would come home and you had to tell them the truth. That same feeling came from a bad test grade that you were going to have to tell them about. That was a fear that was never welcomed. If you lied, then sooner or later it would come back to haunt you, and the consequences would be worse than if you had just admitted to it. Long before home video game systems became so popular, we passed the time with other things. Rainy days might have been spent playing board games, doing puzzles, art, or even building models. We really didn't have a problem finding something to do, and if we couldn't, we weren't going to admit that we were bored to our parents, because then they would find something for you to do, and it involved cleaning. Recess was something that every kid looked forward to, but if the weather was bad, then we were forced to have recess inside. At that point, we got crafty with paper and we made all sorts of things. Paper airplanes, footballs, throwing stars, and poppers. Girls took it a step further with fortune tellers. Remember these? Pick a number, pick a letter, and pick a color. Since we didn't have VCRs or Netflix, going to see a movie at the theater was something special. Perhaps you went to an indoor one, or there was a time when drive-ins were much more popular. Usually your dad would trick you into washing the car and cleaning the windows so you could see the movie. But you didn't care, you were going to the drive-in theater later, which was super exciting. Remember when you were younger and you had good metabolism? I know this one hurts a little, but it's true. If you had it your way as a kid, the perfect diet would be a bowl or two of Lucky Charms for breakfast, pizza for lunch, pasta for dinner, ice cream for dessert, and candy and soda before bed. In fact, we could have repeated that diet the next day if we were only allowed to. There was no such thing as a dad bod. As a kid, we believed in things such as the Easter Bunny, Santa, and the Tooth Fairy. We loved the feeling of magic, and we certainly loved the gifts, whether it was candy, toys, or money. We were all disappointed when we finally found out the truth, and even more so when we never got money for losing any more baby teeth. As kids, we all got excited for certain books. Maybe they were just coloring books or comic books, but many of us loved the book fairs that would come to school. The goal was to get kids excited about reading, which it did, but it was also an opportunity for kids to get out of class, and nothing beats that feeling. Today, many of us don't think about how going to the bathroom was much different decades ago. There was a time when we had colored toilet paper and no cell phones to look at. Dad usually took the newspaper in there because it was going to be a while. That was probably the only spot in the house where he got peace and quiet. But as kids, we really didn't care about the paper other than comic strips. We may have read the shampoo bottles, but a lot of us probably took these games in there. Water toss was a ton of fun until your thumb got so tired from pressing the button so much. This picture is probably Photoshopped because getting all the rings on there was no easy task. The things and feelings that we experienced as kids are very difficult for us to experience as adults. For instance, we don't have substitute bosses, and many of the things that we used to enjoy have disappeared. But we can share and even recreate some of this good old-fashioned fun with kids and grandkids. Show them something that you enjoyed and tell them stories about why it was so special. So what are some other feelings that you experienced as a kid that you miss today? Let us know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching.